أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This is study number 26 of the Ramadan Daily Quran studies for the year 2022, presented by myself, Zahid Aziz, on behalf of the Ahmadi Anjuman Ishat Islam, Lahore, UK. And in this study, we are continuing with the topic of the Hajj or pilgrimage, and we will deal with its various rites and ceremonies. First of all, there is Ihram. This is the name of the state or condition into which pilgrims enter, or they are required to put themselves in on the occasion of Hajj or the lesser pilgrimage known as Umrah, on both those occasions. Male pilgrims wear two seamless sheets, that is to say, they are unsewn, covering the lower and upper parts of the body. Women can wear their ordinary clothes, but they must be simple. And it is not allowed for women to cover the face or to wear a veil. And the purpose of this state of ihram is to remove all distinctions of wealth and social class. And also, it's not just what you're wearing, but in the state of ihram, all cares of the body are disallowed, such as shaving, trimming nails, and also any kind of sexual talk or activity between husband and wife. And having quarrels and disputes with others is disallowed, so that the cares of the body are sacrificed for a few days in order to devote greater attention to the cares of the soul. The most prominent act of the pilgrimage is the tawaf, or going around the Kaaba. The command to perform tawaf is in the Holy Quran, in a revelation of the Makkah period before Hijrah. And I will read out just the words from a verse which refer to this. وَلْيَطَوَّفُوا بِالْبَيْتِ الْعَتِيقِ, and let them go round the ancient house. Chapter 22, verse 29. And in this act of the tawaf, a Muslim feels himself in the presence of the one God, and everyone is saying aloud, Labbaka Allahumma labbaka, la sharika laka labbaka, which means, here am I, O Allah, here am I in your presence. There is no associate with you. Here am I. The Kaaba is an emblem of belief in one God, and it is the place from which came the idea of the oneness of God. It is the place which would always be the center for all believers in the one God. And all ideas of the pilgrim at that time during the tawaf are concentrated on this theme. The pilgrim forgets everything and remembers only the one God. And that is what tawaf is. And during the tawaf, prayers or any other kind of supplications may be addressed to God. There is a cornerstone at one corner of the Kaaba, which is well known as the black stone, Hajar Aswad. This stone is kissed during the tawaf by the pilgrims, although simply pointing to it from a distance is sufficient. And this stone seems to have been there from the time of Abraham, or as we call him, Ibrahim alayhi salam, and possibly even earlier. And this stone stands there only as an emblem, as a token, as a token that those offspring of Abraham, which were rejected by the Israelites, by the Bani Israel, they were going to become the cornerstone of the kingdom of God. In the Bible, in the Psalms, there's a clear reference to the following words: the stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Psalms 118, verse 22. The Israelites, or the Bani Israel, who were descended from Abraham's son Isaac, they believed that Abraham's older son, Ismail, was rejected by God, and that is why he was settled in this wilderness and desert of Arabia. That was their belief. But it was prophesied to the same in the Bible that the last prophet, who is called the chief cornerstone of the building of prophethood, would arise from the descendants of Ismail. This prophecy was worded in terms of a stone rejected by builders, which in the end becomes the main stone of the building. The black stone is a reminder of this prophecy. And when Jesus appeared in the world, Isa alayhi salam, he repeated this same prophecy very clearly to the Bani Israel. And according to the Gospels, what he said was this: have you not read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone? Therefore I say to you, the kingdom of God will be taken from you and given to a nation bearing the fruits of it. This is the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 21, verses 42 and 43. And what Jesus meant was that after him, no more prophets would appear among the Israelites. No more prophets would appear among them after numerous prophets had appeared among them. But that prophethood would be transferred to the rejected stone. It is alleged by the critics of Islam that the practice of tawaf, going around the Kaaba, and the kissing of the black stone, that this practice is a remnant of the idolatrous practices of the pre-Islamic Arabs. And what Islam has done is to incorporate these idolatrous practices into its own acts of worship. But the fact is that certainly before the coming of Islam, the Kaaba had 360 idols inside it. But the black stone was never regarded by those people as an idol. It was never worshipped by them in the way that they worshipped the idols placed in the Kaaba. And if you look at the numerous objects which the pre-Islamic Arabs worshipped and took as gods, the two which do not occur among them, which are conspicuous by their absence, are the Kaaba itself and the black stone. They were not worshipped, despite the fact that they were revered by the Arabs before Islam. Among the other acts of the pilgrimage, we may mention the running of the pilgrims between the two little hills situated near Mecca, called the Safa and the Marwa. And this running is next in importance to the Tawaf. These two hills were the scene of Hagar's running between them in search of water for her baby Ismail after she and the baby had been left there in the wilderness by Abraham. And they have thus become, those two hills, the monuments of patience under the hardest trials. And what the pilgrims learn from that running between the two hills is that one must struggle hard to find and learn the truths which give us spiritual life. At the end of the pilgrimage, there takes place the well-known practice of the throwing of stones or pebbles by the pilgrims at three pillars, although now they are walls and not pillars, but they used to be three pillars. And the pillars represent the temptations of the devil, how the devil tempts human beings. During the pilgrimage, the temptations of real life must not be forgotten. And the throwing of stones draws attention to the temptations of the devil. And that throwing of stones teaches the lesson that we must learn to hate evil, and that the devil should be kept away from us at a distance of a stone's throw. The nearer a person gets to temptations, the more likely he is to give in to them and to yield to them. And the best way of avoiding them is to keep at a distance. And the throwing of stones is, moreover, a reminder of the spiritual fight which we must wage against evil. That is the end of this study. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتوب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. آمين.